Okay. Stop. Oh my god, pause. Right, sorry guys. There we go. Volume. Desktop audio. There you go.
I've been begging for dynamic youth rating. Essentially what this would mean is that as you do better with a club, as you elevate a club, say in Belarus, as you elevate a club in Ukraine, in Russia, whatever, and you make money, you win Champions Leagues, so on, so forth. You're doing the San Marino Challenge, you're making that team better. That within reason, the ability of the players produced by that nation get better.
Yep.
It's the same effect that the 1994 World Cup had on the United States, where soccer/football went from an afterthought to now
Diana
a country
Ross's
that can
penalties.
at least produce somebody
Please
that can play
put a spicy
for
Diana Ross meme
Chelsea
in there.
and Leipzig and Juventus all at the same time. Those kind of catalytic events, which would be myself winning the Champions League in Belarus 2 years ago. That would be
How's it going, Jimmy?
the catalyst. And then your nation would improve. And then all of a sudden Belarus would have the Ballon
Yeah, that
d'Or,
was it.
and we'd be, woo! I mean, great. Messi can only win like 20 more before he's retired, so. But that is not what we got. What we got was the announcement of a dynamic youth rating, and we got the announcement that this was a huge deal that would affect long-term saves and all long-term saves and change everything. And then a month later, we got, well, see, there were a lot of factors. I just want one good thing that allows me to turn Belarus into the best country in the game. Eventually, if I play forever, I want that to be possible. So how does this dynamic youth rating actually works? Well, we've been scouring for responses, and it turns out the kit and caboodle was announced on December 8th. Right in the forums. There's been this debate. There were different people testing it. I didn't want to give credence to those tests right away. People testing dynamic youth rating, because initially we thought it was just buggy. You go and win the Champions League 10 years in the future with a team from some small country, and then your youth rating isn't going up. And the youth rating is the raw number of the quality of players that are produced on a scale of 1 to 200, with Brazil being the best, somewhere in the 160s. A country like Bulgaria, for example, at 72. And if you've watched other videos I've made, it's not the only thing that affects the quality of youth players.
Where are you getting that ranking from? All right, let's literally go to Brazil. There it is. Where are you getting the youth rating from? I can't find the youth rating. I just made an assumption that it was here. Transfer values. Yeah, if anyone knows where I can grab that from. Oh, hang on. This looks promising. There we go. Youth rating. It's on the information page 163. All right, fine. Get that. So somebody has very nicely gone through the entire database of countries, figured out what that youth thing is, and then put it onto the official board. All right. Just going to make sure step by step and with it.
There's the population of the team and things like game importance in the country, where in India would be very low, where on the other side in Brazil, the game importance is very high, probably in a religious category, and like development facilities, all those things. But the youth rating is the anchor to the whole thing, and being able to drive that up and drive that down with poor performance would be nice. After the initial wave of tests, Football Manager responded through Andrew James, who's, I guess, taking care of the forums, with very nondescript answers of the several factors at play immediately.
All right. So he's saying you just don't get it, is basically that response.
Harkening back to what I've talked about in other videos. But he does say, whilst in-game success is one of them, it's also dependent upon a nation's ability to improve their footballing infrastructure. This, I would assume, is referring to the level of development in the country. So like Central African Republic's not exactly going to be on the ball.
Yeah, so
to get a nice...
how do you check an infrastructure? Let's just double check. Oopsie daisy. Economic factor. Probably that. FA financial power, years to gain nationality. Game importance. State of development. Developing state. So we can't change that. Through football, we cannot change anything. We cannot turn a developing state into a developed state. All right. I'm with it so far. Zealand, thank you. Let's carry on. Where the hell is... What do I get for pointing out its own separate thing? There you go.
70,000 seat facility made for you and everything, but they're also not in the game. So if you're playing in Moldova, they're not going to be as fired up to build a bunch of new youth facilities as
so there's also
was.
economy.
They went on to say we are aware of issues where smaller nations in extreme periods of growth are not seeing their national youth rating grow as much as might be expected. So fast forward through a couple more people complaining, a couple more people running tests that, again, I was still not super paying attention to, but what you can pay attention to is what SI says. SI is Sports Interactive. These are the SI forums. Sports Interactive makes Football Manager. There's your mental web. They said, hi all, just wanted to provide an update on this and hopefully some clarification on how this feature works in the game. Thank you, Andrew. The latest update doesn't contain any changes. So there have been people asking about, well, is this going to get updated? Is this going to get patched? We've looked at a couple of examples of smaller nations not improving where it seems like they might, but actually due to the way this system works, increases here are always going to be very unlikely. So here is what I want to point out here. There is an amazing thing that Andrew James is going to do in these paragraphs where he makes it seem like these forces are completely outside of SI's control. I understand the argument that the level of development in a country should impact their ability to produce quality players. I would counter that argument with the fact that in the game, Brazil is classified as a developing state and hammers out wonder kids.
All the time.
They grow on trees. I know that because I have the editor. I can edit nation details and I can show you that it is a developing state instead of a developed state. There are economic factors and federation financial power, both.
So if we whack that into developed state 2020,
Brazil is actually only at 16 out of 20. What exactly these things do or represent beyond them being self-explanatory is not something that I can give you. But SI generally tries not to talk about this stuff so that you preserve some of the magic, some of the sheen of the game where you can't just growth hack it, which I generally appreciate. That's not the problem.
Yeah, that's the great part. The problem
you don't really want to admit that this stuff can't change. There's also something you can't see here that I've already mentioned, which is game importance. It's literally not even editable here. You have to go into the pregame editor. As you can see, I just navigated my way through Germany in the pregame editor into information, and you can see the game importance, which is listed as very important. There's important, unimportant, and completely useless, which linguistically doesn't make any sense. That's not the point. You are now armed with the same amount of information that I was going into reading this forum post, and that's the reason I'm so frustrated. This is the official explanation from SI as to how exactly the dynamic youth rating that was promised, again, and somebody actually quoted it, which I think is hilarious. Miles on October 15th, a huge change for long-term saves, and goes on to say that the youth players coming through in different nations will change depending on that nation's standing in world football. On October 15th, while hyping up the game. Now let's look at December 8th. You have all of the ammunition you need. The main factors involved in these calculations are a nation's state of development, economic factor, FA financial power, and game importance. These fields are all fixed, meaning that the potential for changes to youth rating in some nations is immediately going to be lowered because they have a lower economic ability, they have a lower game importance, which again, you can't even edit with the $5 in-game editor and their state of development. Which
not the way he pointed out that the in-game editor had to be bought.
Cannot change. I find it fascinating in particular that the Football Association's financial power doesn't change as you make,
what are they going to do? Okay. SI's defense there. What are they going to do? Are they going to update people's country's economic power, base it on inflation, war zone conflicts? Are they going to lower that? No, they're not going to do that. It's best just to keep it as a set amount. I think, all right, let's see what else.
Start winning Champions Leagues in Belarus, I think the Belarusian FA is going to get more money. I mean, that is the most logical one to me. The nation's development and economic situation are kind of disconnected from the sport. The FA financial power is not. And neither is the game importance, by the way. But anyways, a few areas that have been mentioned by some users as potential factors do not actually enter into these calculations. For example, the national team ranking or financial status of clubs in the nation. What the dude,
why?
Are you serious? Andrew, this is not your fault. I realize you were just explaining what's going on.
I got it. I'll read that back. A few areas that have been mentioned by some users as potential factors, so we're making assumptions, do not actually enter into these calculations. All right. For example, national team ranking or financial status of clubs in the nation. So if I go to, so if you go to, well, Belarusia, as he says it, Belarusian. Is it Belarusian? Belarusian. All right, you might have got it right. So if he goes to Belarus, every single club gets 2 billion. All of the best youth recruitment networks, junior coaching budgets, all the facilities. That doesn't affect that having £2 billion in the bank does not affect the quality. Yeah, that's not right.
Clubs in the nation.
Yeah.
What the dude? You see?
That is actually, yeah, perfectly reasonable.
Serious? Andrew, this is not your fault. I realize you were just explaining what's going on.
Yeah.
Change depending on the nation's standing in world football. If San Marino
yeah. Oh, right. Okay.
the #1 country in the world, that will have no impact on the dynamic youth rating. No.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is where I really started to listen to it because I was in the bathroom.
None. Zero. They will still be producing melons. How?
Yeah.
Zero? There wouldn't be another like, hey, maybe we should build.
Right, I'm trying to think why they wouldn't do that. Is it at risk of pissing off somebody like an FA? If the Russian FA finds out that it's not got a lot of money or can't produce very good players, are they going to get annoyed at SI and Sega and stop sales of Football Manager? The same way that you can't look at chairman anymore because some chairman complained about his stats and stuff and threatened to sue or something or pull his team out of the game. I wonder if that's got to do with it.
Build another training. Let's build a playground. Financial status of clubs in the nation. We've already covered that should have some sort of impact, especially in a game that in most facets is very good at creating intricate, interconnected webs of things impacting other things. The butterfly effect.
Yeah, you're right. They've left that deliberately like that. I think they know. I think SI would know that is something not right or realistic, but it's a game. It's a video game. But to protect themselves, they've kept things as they are right now. I mean, imagine if all right, hypothetically, what if for some reason Argentina became one of the world's worst producing footballing nations due to what happened in Football Manager? They might get a bit pissed off on that.
Fact in football.
Yeah, exactly. Ilbid's bang on there because there's also they have partnerships with these FAs and these clubs. So again, to not piss them off, they've probably done that. They've kept it like that. They've tried to hide it.
Manager is real.
But they marketed it, so that's the error. Interesting. Has Miles left his Has Miles left that tweet on? Let's go find out. I'll zoom it in for you. All right, October was it? Oh shit, there's gonna be loads of food pictures in a minute. Watford. December. It was October the something or other, right? December. Come on, Miles. Come on. We're still in December. Jesus Christ. Tell I don't use Twitter much. Where the hell? Okay, keep going. December the 15th of October is the day. All right, well, keep going. Keep going. Okay, we're nearly there. All right. 15 October. Please still be there. November. Yep, lots of praise. This is the most popular FM of all time. And you figure that out because it's actually on the Xbox these days. All right. Okay, November. Salmon. October. October 23rd. What the hell? Oh, that was right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he took he was quite paranoid about harming a member of his family with COVID, if I remember rightly. Right. October 2020, October 21st. Flurry of tweets on October 19th, 18th, 17th, 16th, 15th. Here we go. Still here. It's still here, so he's not gone, oh shit, delete. When you give it a pre-match review, okay, yeah, so that's just it. It's just a tweet. That's not real. It's a feature. See, I naturally try and play devil's advocate in anything, and it pisses off my wife so much. Yeah, you promised it would. Yeah.
One thing impacts a million other things.
Maybe they did it as they advertised and then pulled it back once they realized.
Of a club and a country. National youth rating is not the only factor that determines the quality of youth players in a nation.
Okay.
And in cases, there are the other factors have already been improved, such as youth facilities at top clubs, can actually make the national youth rating less likely to increase. This is not as crazy as it sounds. This basically means that as the facilities get better, so say I'm my Belarusian team again, and as I improve my facilities, the national youth rating is less likely to improve, because what the national youth rating is essentially is the country's investment in being able to play the game. So this is Iceland building playgrounds everywhere, fields everywhere, so that every little kid can play.
Okay,
that's what the national youth rating is. So as you improve your youth facilities and you improve your junior coaching, whatever, the country feels less inclined to invest in it. That's how it works. That doesn't mean it's not stupid, right? But that's how it works in the game. So what he's saying there,
damn right, it doesn't.
The reason for this is that the national youth rating applies to all clubs in the nation and is quite an abstract concept to actually define, which of course it is your job to define.
If you can't do that, you've not done your job correctly.
Abstract concept, but we've mailed it in on this one. But if a nation with low spending is already seeing improvement in the quality of young players due to improvements and investments made by clubs, then the nation itself will deem further investment into grassroots structures less necessary, as the improvement in quality is already happening.
So the way, before I move on, the way to improve your national youth rating is to get your country's FA to invest in it. And the best way to invest in it is to destroy your own facilities. Does anyone else read it like that? You're trying to force category A to go up, and the only way that will go up is if category B and C are worse. So it has to work harder? Oof.
So the national youth rating can actually not go up because you are succeeding. Which
fucking bullshit, that. That is not how that should work. All right, I missed all this.
I understand that the mechanics work. This is the first time that I'm being explained that this is exactly what national youth rating is the investment in grassroots development.
So the only way...
you're already leading to that on your own as a club, the nation's not going to do it. And some nations will actually be more likely to see an improvement to national youth rating if the amount of foreign talent in their league starts to increase compared to domestic talent.
I'm sorry, can you read that back again? In some nations, they will actually be more likely to see an improvement to national youth if the foreign talent instantly starts to increase compared to domestic talent. So like China... Okay, I can get that.
I mean, I don't even know what to do with that one. It's a self-explanatory sentence, but it basically means that the way to make the national youth rating go up is because you're tricking the country into believing they're not producing enough quality players for their league because you have 85 Brazilians in your team instead of any Belarusians.
Yeah.
And so they then invest more into the grassroots movement, assuming there's enough money and interest in the game to make those improvements. So you need a good economic situation.
Yeah, so
you
that
need
goes
a good
off
game
those two
importance
fields.
For that to actually happen. I hope that all makes sense. I've already taken notes in this thread regarding how we can go about improving this feature in the future, but I hope you can appreciate that we want to keep things realistic. It's a tight line to walk when we're trying to deal with situations that users may achieve in the game, which there's very little precedent of in real life. Full stop. If you have further questions, please let me know, and then just vitriol. And I don't pity anybody that has to read and respond to all of this stuff in forums. Like, it's just a nightmare, and this is not Andrew James's fault.
No.
But I have a few ideas. I understand the desire to make Football Manager hyper realistic, and it always is going to be. You know, the only thing that's not hyper realistic in Football Manager is that I can take charge of PSG and win like 10 Champions Leagues in a row. Me, I have no qualification to do that. I have no coaching ability in real life. I've played this game obsessively for years, and I can take over PSG and win the Champions League. Me, 25 years old, I can make myself.
I think the point that they don't want to piss off any of these FAs by having a observable in the in-game data editor field which says whether or not they're doing better or worse than X league. It's going to piss them off.
25 years old in the game. I can take over PSG and win the Champions League. I couldn't do that in real life if I tried 1,000 times. None of the players would listen to me, but even if you remove that obstacle, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. So there is an inherently fanciful aspect of Football Manager, and that is that we are in it. It is not a design simulator to perfectly replicate what is possible in real life. It is supposed to replicate what is possible in a fanciful real life.
Yeah, they're trying to hedge the bets. They're trying to say this is a realistic, hyper-realistic, use these words, football simulation. Brilliant, all fantastic stats up to date, worldwide scouts, brilliant, all brilliant. But also, it's D&D. They're trying to satisfy both extremes. Simulation, RPG. And they're trying to do that. And this looks like it's suffered for it.
To a hellishly real extent. And as such, I think the dedication to hyper-realism when it comes to the youth ratings of countries is overblown and ineffective for the imagination of the Football Manager player base. I think myself and a lot of you would really enjoy the ability to, over 100 years in a save, take a country like Belarus and turn it into one of the finest talent producing factories for soccer/football anywhere in the world. I would love that opportunity. And right now that opportunity is not provided. Now there are different ways that you could go about doing that, whether you want to make all of this stuff dynamic, the economic situation in a country dynamic, the development state of a country dynamic. Perhaps you provide the opportunity.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's going to be, that's the problem. They can't do that. They can't do that or risk pissing off an FA that they have a license to have their real teams for.
Opportunity
They'll
for
never
a club
say
to
that.
invest in grassroots. Right now you can
Well,
only
maybe
invest
Miles
in the
might.
facilities at your club. But what if I wanted to take all of this money, right? I had this pie chart, right? Let's make a pie chart. If I had a pie chart of all the money I had at Bate when we won the Champions League, and I said, well, shoot, let's cut out 10% of that and invest in grassroots. And if that was an option, that makes all of this more dynamic.
Yep.
I can invest in the club. I can invest in the country as well and develop everything. I think game importance should be dynamic.
That's a can of worms.
That doing this sort of thing would be very difficult because you don't want to make it unbalanced, but there's only two directions you can miss. You can make it not go far enough, and you can make it go too far too fast. When you simplify it that way, this is not something that should be super hard to do. You gotta.
Yeah. It shouldn't be hard to do. It changes it from a realistic simulation to, I don't even know what you call that type of game. It's RPG, I guess, just D&D. Yeah. It shouldn't work like that, but it has been deliberately set like that because they wanted, at least you can change it a little bit, but not enough to cause an international incident. I think that's pretty much what's happening there. I think that's what's happening.
Gotta try. I mean, most people that play Football Manager don't make it past 10 years in a save. And that's perfectly fine. It's a video game. Play it however you want. But for the people that use it for simulations, for the people that like to play, or at least like to...
All right. Hypothetical. Fantasy Football Manager. Database. Fake teams, fake players, and give you this option. Are you gonna kiss me there, Zealand? Yeah.
start a save. They might not make it past 10 years, but they want to start a save knowing that if they do really well, that country's going to be great. And they're going to produce great players.
Yeah. I completely
eventually.
agree
I'm
with
not
that.
saying all of this should be immediate. I think the game would suck if it was all immediate. And in 3 years,
you can do
all of a
fake
sudden
everything.
I win the
I will
Champions League in
happily
Belarus
write
and I'm
a
Brazil.
fake
That's not how it
Football
should
Manager
work. But it
database with
should be
fake players,
possible. Because
fake
in Football
clubs.
Manager, almost
Do you know what? I
everything
might do that
is
for
possible.
Patreon.
But to go out and call this a huge change when you have all those factors that are limiting it, it's just not true. This is a nothing burger. It does.
Don't say it's a lie.
Nothing. And dynamic youth rating will continue
Don't say it's a lie,
to
though.
do nothing
That's
until it's
defamatory.
changed, until what I'm talking about is made somewhat dynamic, until it can change, until you can actually change the way that the country that you're managing in thinks about the sport through your success, which in my opinion has multiple real world examples of it happening, but Football Manager doesn't believe that. I love how interconnected this game is. But right now, how interconnected this game is killing the ability to start long-term saves and really accomplish the most base of all long-term dreams in Football Manager, which is to change the fortunes of a whole country. I mean, we have talked about this on stream a lot. And if you want to watch the stream, you want to bring up these sorts of things, have these conversations, the link to Twitch is down in the description. I stream 5 days a week playing Football Manager. I hope to see you there.
5 days a week, man? Fuck. I should probably up my game. Yeah, I think we've covered... I think I've covered why. I don't think, again, going back to the chairman thing, where the chairman took umbrage on how he was represented in the game, and therefore you can't click on chairman anymore. But if you go back into the guts and the offline editor, you can see exactly which of the yeah, I need to stream more. Was my main take from that. So so hang on, let's have a look. Name me a chairman. Fuck. Oh, God. ADHD. Give me a club chairman. Glazer. Oh, I'll spell it wrong because it's Glazier. It's Glazer, not Glazier. There we go. All right. Avram Glazer. Owner, Manchester United. Right. So, oh yeah, they've got him as Ginger as well. Interesting. Why would they do that if you can't actually see him in the game? Unless he's going to be running around on the pitch, that's not important. Right. So this is the thing that is hidden. You can't click on the chairman in the game. They've hidden this stuff: ambition, loyalty, non-play data, things like business acumen, flamboyancy, patience. Things like that. But yeah, also things that would affect his business. If Football Manager thinks he's the world's worst businessman, and he's probably one of the better businessmen in the world, he might get pissed off about that and say, oh, you changed this or else. So they hid that. I like the way that Joel Glazer's business is 20 because that's true. Sorry, Avram Glazer. Joel Glazer is not there. So that I think that's what's happened here. They've hidden all the things that might cause offense to people in the FAs, or they've just taken that concept and applied it to these infrastructures. I don't know how long it's been like that. It could have been a very, very long time. But I think that's why we can't see it in the in-game editor, but the out-game editor, where you actually have to build a game using this, so it has to have everything in it. I wonder if at one point they were told or were advised against implementing it the way they wanted. Yeah, that's my take on that. I think that's why. If people are asking why isn't it like this, I think that's why. Many points Zealand made were absolutely what I agree with. It's both a hyper-realistic simulation, and it's also a role-playing strategy game. And trying to marry those two things together might cause legal ramifications for the people who have given license to use their FA symbols and their clubs and their competitions and things like that. Or it could just be an error, but it doesn't sound like an error because what's his name? Andrew, whatever his name was, he was very
In this debate, there were different
yeah, he was very
people
like
testing it. I didn't want to give.
I don't know. He was like, yeah, lots of things affect it. Yeah. I see both. Again, I naturally do this. I just look at both sides and say, yeah, this is where they're coming from. This is where they're coming from. There's got to be a reason why they haven't implemented it as they say. And I think it's because they're afraid of pissing off FAs. Anyone, J League, all that stuff. Imagine if, all right, so who was the big get for licensing recently? It was Germany, right? Oh, I was going to load up a new game so I could show you all the licenses. But yeah, I think that's why it is. And I can understand the litigious reply of Football SI as well. Because that could be very serious for them. Probably not, though. But yeah, that's basically what this is about. And now that I've actually sat and watched the entire video rather than just brushing my teeth in between bits. Oh, Carlisle scored. Damn it. Oh, I don't care. It's the League Cup. So yeah. I think they've hamstrung it deliberately to avoid causing offense to somebody that they got a license with. But the problem was they promoted it as a feature. So people were looking at it. Yeah. Anyone got any comments to make other than that? I would love to hear your opinions. All right, let's put some music back on if I can find it. There we go. Yeah, Andrew James, the mouthpiece selected to take the hits. Oh, sorry guys. I got to remember to turn that down before I do that. Oh, Mullen lad. Only playing big football nations. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. That's the point. He wants to take Belarusia. I suppose it is Belarusia. Yeah. To Brazil levels of regions over like, I don't know, 30-year period. But I want actually, has Zealand responded or anything like that? He hasn't got rid of the video. Yeah. All right. Has he replied? 40 minutes ago, hang this in the Louvre. Oh, they're doing the network save right now. Yeah, okay, he's fine. Yep. All right, well. Just be interesting to see what happens. Yeah. I think that's as much as I can give on my opinion on that. It's going to be hard to balance it. But yeah, as Ilbid says, it's time for him to scoot. Yeah, I just literally loaded up the game for a little bit and ended up doing this. So I hope that clears things up to some people who, like me, were fully versed in exactly what was promised and what was said. But yeah, I think that's why it doesn't work the way you would assume. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I will be back Sunday. We'll carry on with the Wrexham save and actually do some matches now rather than, what, 2 matches in a 90-minute period. Perfect. All right, take care. I will see the next time. Make sure you click follow if you've not already. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.